Cleveland is making two enormous bets on its future.
A new riverfront entertainment complex and a $2.4 billion stadium.
Together, they could reshape how the city entertains, gathers, and grows.
Let's dive in.
Let's do it. Okay, so here's something to think about. Cleveland is about to invest billions into not one, but two massive projects, a riverfront amphitheater and a state-of-the-art indoor stadium. So the city really is betting big on its future as a cultural and economic hub.
Yeah, it's a bold move for sure. But what I think is fascinating about these projects is that it's not just another new venue, right?
Yeah, right.
We're seeing the reshaping of Cleveland's identity and economy.
Yeah, sure.
So where do you want to start, the amphitheater or the stadium?
So let's kick it off with the amphitheater.
Great.
This is a 6,200-seat outdoor venue planned for the Cuyahoga Riverfront, and it'll be right down there next to the Cleveland Clinic Global Peak Performance Center, which is a mouthful. But it's not going to be just another venue, another concert venue, right? It's part of the 35-acre redevelopment plan by Bedrock that's aiming to transform downtown Cleveland as we know it.
Yeah, that Live Nation partnership is interesting. You know, that guarantees that Cleveland will attract major artists and these big national tours, which, let's be frank, often skip us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're also designing it to feel intimate, which is a tricky balance to strike.
Right, and that's what makes this project stand out. You know, it's big enough to draw the big names, but small enough to still feel personal.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the economic impact is projected at nearly $60 million annually. That's a huge boost for the city.
It really is. And, the amphitheater is being framed as a community gathering place. Nick Barlage, the CEO of Rock Entertainment Group, called it a, quote, dynamic community space. And I think it's a powerful way to position it.
Yeah.
It's something I think that we truly lack, particularly around our waterfronts here.
Absolutely. And it's part of that larger vision for the riverfront. So again, it's not just a venue, it's a destination.
Yeah.
The plan will include residential housing, a riverfront boardwalk, public spaces. It's a complete reimagining of what downtown Cleveland can be, I think. It's giving us the access to our riverfront that we should have.
Yeah, and the way this project has evolved is interesting. Remember the original plan for the Rock and Roll Land Hotel and Theater?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a $500 million complex with a hotel and a theater all in one.
Oh, I remember. And now they've pivoted, breaking it into separate projects, which I think is a smart move. By, spreading up an investment, they're able to focus on different areas and create more balanced development.
Exactly, yeah. The hotel project is still alive. It's just evolves. And this is a more strategic approach. But let's shift gears to the new Brown Stadium, which just broke ground last week. And that is a whole other level of ambition there.
Yeah, you're not kidding. This is a $2.4 billion project, and it's a completely new mixed-use destination. We're talking retail, housing, office space, even a separate event venue. So they really are building, a city within a city.
And the stadium itself is really going to be incredible. A 67,500-seat venue, expandable to 75,000 for those concerts and bigger events, with a really cool translucent roof that lets the natural light flow in.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're calling it a super theater, which honestly feels like the right term.
Oh, it's massive. And the Haslam Sports Group is committing over $2 billion in private investment, which is the largest per capita private sports facility investment in U.S. history. So let that sink in for a second.
Yeah, it's staggering. And the stadium is designed to host, events beyond just football, like your NCAA Final Fours, international soccer matches, or these year-round events that we really can't do with our current setup.
Right.
It's a game changer for the region for sure.
But of course, it's not without controversy, as we well know. The decision to move the Browns out of downtown Cleveland to Brook Park has sparked a lot of debate, which is still ongoing and probably will be for some time. But that's to be expected.
And it's a totally valid concern. Downtown stadiums can be a major driver of economic activity. But the Haslams at the same time seem determined to make this work. They've secured $600 million from the state and are covering the rest of the cost themselves. So it's a pretty bold move, and it signals confidence in the project.
Yeah, and let's not overlook the logistics. The site being near Cleveland Hopkins International Airport is both a blessing and a challenge. So, the excavation alone is a $65 million project, which will dig 80 feet deep and move nearly 2 million cubic yards of dirt. That's a lot of dirt.
Yeah, it's one of the most significant earthwork projects ever undertaken in Cuyahoga County. And what's great is they're committed to using local labor, with 75% of the workforce hours performed by residents. So that's a big win for the community.
It really is. And the whole mixed-use district surrounding the stadium is just as ambitious. As we touched on earlier, Phase 1 includes the stadium, an event venue, a hotel, and residential buildings with ground floor retail. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and the design, you have to admit, is pretty thoughtful. They're incorporating linear parks, pedestrian-friendly streets, and architecture that reflects the region's industrial heritage, which I feel like you have to do around here.
Yeah.
So it's a nod to the past while also looking towards the future.
Yeah, there are still some hurdles to clear. For example, the public transportation access isn't fully resolved. There's talk of a new GCRTA red line station near the stadium, but funding has yet to be secured for that.
Yeah, that's a big piece of the puzzle because, if they want this district to thrive year-round, it has to be accessible. And with the stadium having the least amount of parking of any new NFL stadium, public transit is really going to be crucial. And I hope that it leads to, broader public investment in our public transit system.
Absolutely. But even with these challenges, the vision is inspiring. Cleveland is positioning itself as a cultural and economic powerhouse. These projects are really about creating a sense of place. And you take that in tandem with everything happening along the riverfront with Irishtown Bend and the Columbus Road Peninsula, and then everything happening along our lakefront. I mean, there's just so much real momentum here, tangible momentum that we're finally seeing.
And that's what makes this so exciting. Whether it's the amphitheater on the riverfront or the Browns out in Brook Park, these are huge investments in the Cleveland's future.
Yeah.
It's all of us saying, hey, look, we believe in this city.
And that belief is contagious.
Yeah.
You can really feel the momentum building. We're stepping into the spotlight here, and I really can't wait to see what's next.
Me neither. It's a new chapter for Cleveland, and it's going to be one for the history books.
So on that hopeful note, that will do it for us. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on The Clevelander.
Take care, everybody. See you next time. The Clevelander is an unscripted podcast brought to you by the Greater Cleveland Partnership and created with the help of the latest in AI tools. To learn more, visit greatercle.com.